I have only ever run in one pair of shoes. I PB'd across all distances and even run my first marathon in the same shoe. But after 5 years of running, I now have my first ever shoe rotation. So hello and welcome to my channel, The Amateur Runner. Today I'm going to share with you my shoe rotation and how I come to own the shoes that I now do. But first, let me just quickly update you on my running as I return from injury. So it's been a couple of weeks now since I last made a video. So this was week 3 of my running, returning from injury, and this is week 4. Now, week 3 was pretty much the same, just progressing on the previous week, getting more time on feet, those running intervals getting longer, and even those continuous runs starting to build on those. So week 4, there's an extra run on week 4. I'm now running 4 days a week. Those continuous runs are now getting longer and longer. On Sunday, I managed to complete 5k, a continuous run, reaching 5k, totaling 20 kilometers for week 4, and that really is a massive step forward for me. The most running and the longest run I have run since the start of my injury, going back 6 or more weeks now. So today is Monday of week 5. Week 5 resembles more of a traditional running plan, I suppose. There's not those walk runs that I have been doing, it's more continuous runs. There is an interval session which will include a little bit of walking with a lot more intervals and at a faster pace. I'm going to be trying to hit 5k pace on those intervals. So yeah, this week is going to be a big week. It's either going to be a massive step forward, even more so than last week, or the realization that actually this comeback from injury may take a little bit longer. But back to shoes and my shoe rotation, my first ever shoe rotation. So I have only ever run in the same shoe. So I need a stability shoe, and I've always run in the Brooks Glycerin GTS. I've run in a couple of pairs of the 20s and a couple of pairs of the 21s, and I also managed to do some miles in the 22s. My only rotation was old versus new, and when I went out and bought a new pair, it was just another pair of the same shoe. It was just a trainer that I was comfortable to wear, a shoe that I was confident in wearing, and one that just worked for me. But as probably with a lot of runners, I started to get curious with regards to everyone having different shoes for different types of runs. But if I'm being honest, I didn't really know what to make of that, because the Glycerin 21 in 2024, I ran my first marathon in that shoe. I managed to PB in the Cardiff Half Marathon in 2024. That was a PB for me at the time. The Lightning Bolt 10k, I went and got a 10k PB in that shoe, and also I managed to run my first ever sub 25k in the Glycerin 21. So for a shoe that a lot would say is a slow, heavy, easy recovery type run shoe, I managed to PB across all distances in that shoe. So naturally I'm thinking, do I really need to spend all that money on multiple pairs of shoes? But at the same time, I'm thinking, if I can do that in the Glycerin 21, you know, what could I do if I had the right shoe for the right job? So I was currently running in the Glycerin 21 GTS, but I'd done about 400 kilometers, so I knew I needed to replace that shoe at some point. Now, going into marathon training, looking at the mileage that I was going to be doing, I probably was going to need another 2 pairs of shoes, one to soak up all of that training mileage, and another pair that was going to be a lot fresher for race day. So Brooks sent me and allowed me to run and try out a couple of pairs of their shoes. So they sent me the Glycerin 22 GTS, and they also sent me the Hyperion 2 GTS. The Glycerin for those easy runs and the Hyperion for that race day shoe. The Glycerin 22, fantastic shoe, can't fault it at all. But for me, very similar still to the 21. Although there are differences, it did feel very similar to running. The Hyperion was actually, again, a very comfortable shoe to wear. It was super light, but for me, thinking it was a shoe that I was going to wear for a marathon distance, I didn't think it was quite stable enough for me. Although the Brooks shoe has been extremely good for me, and why change something that works? But I still wanted to try different shoes, different brands. So I looked at the Saucony Hurricane 24 for those easy runs, and on Saucony's recommendation, the Tempest 2 for that race day shoe. Now, if you watched my previous video, you'll know that I think the Hurricane 24 may well have contributed to the injury I currently have, and that being that there was a big difference in heel drop to what I had been running in for many years. So that shoe, after about 7 weeks, I stopped wearing that shoe because of the niggles I was getting. But the Tempest 2, that kind of fell in the middle really. It was slightly heavier but a bit more stable than the Hyperion, but it was lighter and not quite as stable as the Glycerin. So I started to test the shoe out on some longer runs, on some tempo runs. I went and wore the shoe at the Bath Half, where I went and got a PB, and I also took it out on a 20-mile race at the Halavington 20 as part of my marathon training. And it was after that race really that I decided, yeah, the Tempest 2 was going to be my marathon race day shoe. So I sent back the Glycerin 22 and I kept wearing the 21 on my easy runs, and I also sent back the Hyperion because initially I got that to test out for a marathon race day shoe, and like I said, decided it just wasn't going to be stable enough for me for that distance. However, whilst I did have that shoe, I did take it out and do some speed work in it, some of those intervals, and it was surprisingly good. It just felt so much easier to get the legs turning over, and it started to make me think maybe there is something in this right shoe for the right job. So I went and repurchased the Hyperion 2. So at the time, looking forward and thinking about the summer, I wanted to do a lot of 5k races, a lot of 10k races, and really improve on my speed throughout the summer. But obviously injury hits and that all goes out the window, so the Hyperion 2s are still at home, brand spanking new in the box, but maybe on this week's intervals, maybe I'll put them on and give them a run out. So I now have the Hyperion 2 for the speed work, for 5Ks, for 10Ks. I've got the Saucony Tempest 2 for the tempo work, for half marathons and marathons, and the Brooks Glycerin 21s for those easy runs. But as previously said, the 21s are going to need replacing because they've done quite a few kilometres. So whilst feeling sorry for myself not being able to run, I thought I'd treat myself. Now I've watched and read lots of reviews on the Puma Forever Run Nitro 2s, and with a discount code I was able to pick those up for £108. So that is currently what I'm wearing now for today's 5k run. They will become my new shoe for easy runs, for recovery runs, and the Brooks Glycerin 21s, they will still stay as part of my rotation. Probably end up wearing those more for kind of muddy park runs and things like that as I phase them out of my shoe rotation. And that is it. That is what my shoe rotation looks like, how I stumbled across it really, but also realising now that a different shoe for a different type of run, almost like a different tool for a different job. For me, I'm now learning that it does make a difference. And not only that, I think with more and more research that I'm doing, that having a shoe rotation is a good tool also for injury prevention. I'm not saying that a shoe rotation will stop me from getting injured, but I think it will help. But guys, that is my 5k run done. There are still some, again, I wouldn't call them niggles, but there's still some funny feelings there on the ankle. I'm still not confident that it's all still strong enough and recovered enough. Although it's good what I've done and I'm moving forward and I'm progressing, and that's all great, I still haven't got lots of confidence in the ankle. Maybe that's normal coming back from injury, I don't know, but still a lot of work to do. But guys, that is it for this week's video. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, have a good one guys, and I will see you on the next one.